All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. If you can hear me, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into this training, which is a training on how to use OU Campus for beginners. You may already know some of the things which I'm going to go over today, but you never know what kind of tips and tricks that you may see from somebody who does this full time. So I'm going to jump in and share this full screen. And okay, what you should be seeing on your screen right now, and Casey Saxton, if you're not seeing my screen, run in here and let me know. You should be seeing the URL extension.usu.edu/clone. Let me back up a little bit. Before I jump in, there are a couple things that I want to say. Questions will be at the end. I may have already said it. You're muted by default. And at the end, when you'd like to ask any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself. But in your RSVP, there were some things that you requested to be trained on. I broke those questions down, and there were 48 different questions which we had. 27 of those 48 were directly with the basics. I may touch on some of those other questions at the end of this, but if I do, it'll still be with just the basics in mind because, again, this is a basics webinar, and I don't want to overwhelm anybody. Other webinars will be happening later. So, some helpful links that we have that already have trainings on them is extension.usu.edu/OU-campus. The reason why it's that URL is because OU Campus is the CMS, or content management system, which we now use. It replaced an old system that we used to have, and some of you may or may not know that system. It was EasyPlug. So in OU Campus today, I'm going to show you how to log in, how to use the WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG, short for what you see is what you get. And after that, how to create a new page and new sections within your website, how to add an image, how to add a file, and how to add links. Once this training is done, it will be saved at both extension.usu.edu/OU-campus and our marketing training archives. Okay, now jumping in back to the URL that I've typed in here, extension.usu.edu/clone. This is a website which I have access to be able to log into. You should be given access to be able to log into certain websites as well. However, you cannot log into this website because you do not have access. So for example, if you try to log into OU Campus through the extension homepage, it won't work for you because you do not have access to the extension homepage. So now, coming back to this clone website, the secret link to be able to log in and make edits is this copyright symbol at the very bottom. Now, if you have access to the page that you're looking at and you click that copyright symbol, it will take you into editing the page that you are looking at when you click that symbol. So in this case, I'm on the home page of extension.usu.edu/clone, and now it's taken me in to OU Campus, or the dashboard side of things on this page. Now the first thing that you'll notice is things look pretty blank, and that's fine because we're going to start building things up. Now in the website, we have this little frame, or this window that shows us the website, and it has 3 clickable buttons: the main content button, and navigation, and another navigation button. The truth about these sidebar navigation buttons is they don't work. So if you're ever tempted to click them, go ahead and just ignore them. They won't do anything for you. And if you try to make edits on them, it may actually end up breaking your sidebar. So you can be given access to edit the sidebar, given 2 different things. If I know you and understand that you understand how the website hierarchies work, and if you have a good understanding of HTML. So I'm going to show you how to edit the main content instead. So I'll go ahead and click main content, and that will darken everything else on our site. and give us this white focus area where I can begin editing. Now, once I've clicked here, we'll notice that a new toolbar appeared at the top, and that's the toolbar for our WYSIWYG editor. So with this, it's similar to Microsoft Word. I can go ahead and begin typing right here, and I will make this the heading for my web page. Okay. So this is a simple paragraph at this point, but if I'd like to change this paragraph with the cursor selected anywhere in this sentence or in these sentences, I can go ahead and in this drop down right here, change the format that we'd like this to be. So the format, usually a web page will have it'll follow an outline. So this could be a heading 1. And I'm going to go ahead and break this heading up. So with this as a heading 1, we may have content underneath that heading that we can change into. I'm actually going to modify the text, so this is a little bit easier to follow as well. So heading right here. This is content under the heading, and I'll leave it at that for now. So I'm going to go ahead and change that content under the heading to simply a paragraph. And so on. So we can continue changing the size and headings every time we push enter. This will be another, I should say this will be a subheading because I don't have another subheading yet. So this is a subheading, and I'm going to go ahead and with the cursor on that line, select this as at heading 2. So this happens, I can create a new line with different sized text every time I push enter. So now that I push enter, this will be another paragraph. So enter creates different heading sizes, but there's also shift enter, which can create, this will be a different line within this paragraph. So if I were to change the size of this line, because I did shift enter, it's actually going to change the entire region that I'm editing right now. So I just selected H3 for this, and both lines have changed. So the best way to really remember the differences between editing your content with your headings and your paragraphs is enter, but you'll become familiar with it by just practicing between what enter and shift enter do for you. Okay, so now that I've made these changes, I want this live on our website. So just like Microsoft Word, I can push Command S or Control S, or there's also this floppy disk icon for saving. But just because I've saved that, I'm going to go to the URL now. Doesn't mean that it's live quite yet. So what I need to actually do is save the page and then come over here and push publish. I'm going to intentionally spell something wrong. Misspelling. Okay, so now I'm going to save and publish again. So it's going to automatically run the spell checker, and you will not be able to publish until this spell checker clears. And so I have misspelled. I could go ahead and say, oh no, I like the way that this is spelled right now, and select that and then click add to dictionary. However, I don't want to add a misspelling to the dictionary, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete that, save. Spell checker clears. I'm going to add a version description here as a best practice. Added some content. Hopefully yours will be more descriptive than mine. Okay, so now that I've saved and published, I'm going to come back to the extension.usu.edu/clone, and I can refresh this page, and voila, we have heading text which appears right on our page. So that's the most basic thing that we can do within OU Campus, is simply editing and modifying text. Now if we want to get a little bit more creative, the next thing I'm going to do is, before I jump too far ahead, I'm going to do my best to follow this outline here. So now we're going to create a new page. So to create new pages, what we actually need to do is navigate into OU Campus's file structure. There's two different ways to get into that file structure, and we can hover over Content in this dark blue bar in the top and click Pages. And I have more options under my Content dropdown than you do. But with mine, or with yours, you will have the option to see Pages, or in the gray bar directly underneath, you can also click Pages right here. Now what this does is takes us into OU Campus's file management system. And just out of being a little bit OCD, I always click this file icon. That sorts everything by its file type. So we have different folders, which I'll explain briefly. There's an Assets and Resources folder. This is some core files that build your website up, and they should actually be locked down to you. We have an OU Files folder, and that's where you simply add your files. We also have an OU Images folder, and you guessed it, that's where you can add your images. And then we have some other include files. These are your side navigations, which should also be locked, and a calendar file, which may also be locked in your site or may not exist if you do or do not have a calendar on your site. Same with this calendar.pcf. So really all we're paying attention to right now is this index file. That's the one I've been editing so far, and the index is always the home page of a folder. So for now, we have index, which is the same as our clone file right here, or I could type in /clone/index, and just as I explained, it's the same thing. So we're going to create a new page called new page. So let me back up a little bit there. I went a little fast. In the green bar up at the top, we've got this new icon right here, or with the drop down. You click on that, and within the folder that I'm already at in OU Campus, right now it's just the home folder. When I click new and create a page, it's going to create that page within this home folder. So the page title, simply call it a new page. Description, this is a new page within OU Campus, simply for training purposes. All right, now the file name, there's instructions directly beneath this. It says using only lowercase letters, underscores, or dashes. Lowercase letters and dashes, they're my favorite. So new-page is how that will look. And that file name is actually going to become the URL that we'll type up here. So right now I can say extension.usu.edu/clone/new-page, and it redirects us back to USU's page not found, because it doesn't exist yet. But once I create this, create, and I'm going to immediately publish it, and we're going to try that URL again. So extension.usu.edu/clone/new-, oh, and I misspelled page. New-page. And ta-da, just like that, we have a new URL that we can copy and paste and share with anybody for them to see the content on our new page. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a couple things within this new page. First of all, we'll add an image. All right, to add an image, the image first has to be created, and I've done that in advance. And then we have to upload it to OU Campus. So to do that, wherever the cursor is where the image will be added. We can see that the cursor is blinking underneath this first paragraph that I've added. So when I add this image, it will be added underneath that first paragraph. Then I can come up to the Insert, Edit Image icon, and I'm going to click the folder with the magnifying glass so we can search for where this image is. Now again, the image isn't uploaded yet, but within this OU Images folder, I'm going to go ahead and click Upload. You know what, I'm going to back up a little bit because I'm going to demonstrate an error that we frequently run into. Once I click this folder with that magnifying glass icon, by default, it takes me into the home folder of the website. If I try to upload an image into this folder, there's all kinds of blocked extensions. So if you locate your file, I have a file called This Is an Image. Oh, blocked extension. It's not going to let me. No matter how many times I click start upload, it's not going to start the upload. So that's where I need to go into OU-images and click upload. And now we can see, okay, JPEG, files, PNG, and GIF, or GIF, depending on how you like to say that word. The options to upload them are here. Okay. With that, the image is selected. Looks like I'm getting the green light on everything, so I'm going to go ahead and click Start Upload. Now, I need to select the image that we've just uploaded and click Insert. The description of this image is, this is an image. It's important to give your images descriptions because our website is actually visited by people who have visual impairments, and they need to be able to know what the images are. And so this description, if they have software, a screen reader that will read to them what they're looking at, the screen reader will read the description that you input here. Okay, so this is an image. It's an image of text that I simply wrote, and that text is, sorry, my mouse is scrolling rapidly there. The text is simply, this is an image. It's 690 by 460. I can't highlight that text, of course, because it's all part of the image. So if I highlight any of it, I'm highlighting the entire image. And I did that partially to show that uploading text into an image is not going to be a good practice. But now that I've uploaded the image, I'm going to go ahead and save. And it looks broken here. The reason is because it hasn't published that file. OU Campus is smart enough to recognize that with images that aren't published yet, when we publish the page, it will publish the page and all of the contents on it. So I'm going to come back to our new page tab and push refresh, and voila. There's our new page, and here is our image. So I don't know how Zoom meeting is going to handle this at this point, but I'm going to shrink this browser down. And what's going to happen is the text of the image is going to shrink down with it. And as we can see, that if we had text that was smaller than the text that I've added in this image, it would be too small to read. And the reason why I've shrunk this down is because this is actually your mobile viewing experience now. So when you create your web pages as well, you can shrink your browser down to see how it would appear on a phone. Because the site that we use, it's called a responsive site. So no matter what, when you build a site in one way for your desktop, it should still be visible on any device, like an iPad, or any tablet, or any smartphone. Okay, so now with the image added, we're going to try the next step, which in this training, we're going to go ahead and add a file. And I'm going to do that here within our new page. This is going to be a link to a file. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the text, a file, because that's going to be the clickable text that will take us to the file that we're going to add. Now this time, instead of clicking the image icon, what I'm actually going to do is jump over here and go to the Insert, Edit, Link icon. And just like an image, we don't have a URL yet, but we'd like to locate a URL and upload the file. So just like with images as well, if I click upload right now and try to add my file, certain file types are blocked, PDF being one of those file types. So it's not going to work for me quite yet until I get into the OU files folder. Okay, now that I'm in the folder, PDF is something that gives us the green light here. So I've created a file called thisisafile.pdf. but uh-oh, it's giving us another error even though I'm adding this into the correct file folder. It's saying invalid file name. What it doesn't like with this file is the fact that I have spaces in it. So if I jump in right here and remove each of those spaces with a hyphen, things should work just fine for us. And sure enough, it looks like we've got the green light now. The Start Upload button is clickable. Other characters that may give us errors might be some of the fancier characters like the percent signs, parentheses, and sure enough, it doesn't like those characters. So I'm going to delete that back out and click Start Upload. And ta-da, that worked great. So I'm going to go ahead and select the file. With the file selected, come down into the bottom right and click Insert. Okay, now with certain file types, whenever we link to them, it's actually a best practice to open the file in a new window. So this target link right here, that means would we like to, when we click that link, are we going to replace our current tab with the content we link to, or are we going to open up a new tab in our browser? So I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. And again, title, this is important for accessibility reasons. A link to a generic PDF. Again, hopefully yours would be more descriptive. For example, if you were linking to a 4-H fair document, you would say a 4-H fair document. Okay, now with all of that set, I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we can see that it's recognized as a hyperlink now with the blue text that when we hover, it underlines. So I'm going to click Save and Publish. And it runs our spell check and added a link to a file as my version description. Okay, now with that published, I'm going to go ahead and refresh our page. And this is going to be a link to a file, and when I click on it, sure enough, we have a new tab, and this is a file. It's a PDF file. The file speaks for itself. All right, so now we've covered adding images and adding files. Let's see what's next. Okay, how to add links. So within our website, I've created the home page, and we have a new page. However, I can't get to the new page quite yet from our home page. So on our home page, I'm going to go ahead and log in by clicking that copyright symbol again. It's taking me into editing our home page and clicking the main content. Okay, and I can make as much of this a link as I'd like. So this entire text, we could say this is a link to the new page that we just created. Now with that text highlighted, I'm going to come back over to the Insert Edit Link icon, just like we did for a file, but now instead of linking to a file, we're linking to the new page that we just created. So in our file navigation, I was able to find our new page.pcf, which was the new page that we created. And in this case, I do not want to open this in a new tab because we're still on the same website. So with my changes, let's go ahead and save, publish, but not until we add our version description. Okay, with that created, we can see this is a link to the new page that we just created. When I click on that, voila! And now we can navigate to our new page. With OU Campus, the link, that's a bad example. Normally your site title right here is actually a link back to your page's homepage. Not on our clone website quite yet. There would still be some editing that I would actually need to configure. So if your site title is not linking to your site's homepage, contact me and I will get that fixed right away. I'm not going to demonstrate that right now, however, on how to fix that. Okay. So that's really the basics. Most of what you're going to be doing is modifying text that already exists, perhaps swapping out some images, adding files, or linking to new pages. So in any case, if we want to modify, I'll go to an already existing web page. Cache County, you're my lucky group. So I'm going to go ahead and modify some of the text for the Master Gardener program right here. So I've navigated to the page. Once I click the copyright symbol button at the bottom, it takes me into the gardening page, which I was just looking at. And now we can say, I'm going to go ahead and add an extra paragraph right here. Obviously, I don't want to add that, but just demonstrating how easy it is to really select our cursor anywhere we'd like and modify that content. If I wanted to modify this image right here, I can go ahead and click on this image. And let me back up a little bit. Right now, I haven't clicked on the image yet. Therefore, this Insert Edit Image button is not darkened. Once I do, you can see, okay, I'm going to be editing the image which I've selected. So with it selected, I'm going to navigate and let's go ahead and upload this is an image, start upload. And just because I've uploaded it doesn't mean that it's automatically selected. So now I still have to navigate to that image. My favorite way is using this filter. This is an image.png file. And just like that, we've swapped out an image that already exists. Now if I go ahead and click Save, we can see that I've got that broken link. It's because I haven't published it yet. Extension/cache/gardening. So even though I've saved my changes in the dashboard, this still isn't live, and it won't be live until I push Publish. I'm obviously not going to publish this. In fact, I don't like the changes that I've just made. So I can easily click the Versions button with the page checked out. In fact, let me check this page in. So I'm no longer editing the page. The Versions button isn't there until I click this light bulb, and then we can see our version. So I'm going to go ahead and revert it to the last time that Darcy Deacon made this change. And now if I jump back into preview, we can say, okay, none of my changes exist anywhere now. So I'm going to go ahead and just check that back in. I've done no harm here. All right. One thing that I wanted to mention briefly with the basics of our website is a great way to approach this is building your web page as an outline. So a sample outline would include a single title for a web page, which would be, as I've already demonstrated earlier, a heading 1. Underneath that heading, you may have a paragraph that's introductory to that web page, and then you could have subheadings underneath that. This is good for a few reasons because this is intuitive for how people use websites, but it's also important for our accessibility reasons. Now, I've mentioned accessibility a few times, but accessibility is actually a very important thing that we need to concentrate on when we make our websites. It's kind of like how if we build a physical building on campus or any public building, it needs to have wheelchair accessibility. Anybody in the public needs to be able to access it. So the same thing with our websites. When we build a website, anybody from the public needs to be able to access it as well. So a screen reader, if you've built your web page properly, will be able to jump across headings without all the content of that heading being read to them. So somebody who is blind can actually navigate a website very quickly if you've used proper outlining methods to build your web page. So when building a web page, this would be a no-no. I'm going to push Control A or Command A to select everything and then delete it. This is some text. This is some important text. And because this is important, I want to go ahead and just make it huge. That would actually be a no-no because we've made this a heading 1. That would indicate that this is another title for a different web page. So if you want to emphasize certain text, the best way to really do it is, again, to use a proper outline, and then at the bottom of your outline or the section, I would like to emphasize this part of the section. You can go ahead and bold your text. But again, using headings just for sizing purposes is a bad practice and confuses screen readers and those who are trying to access our websites. For more information on that, visit webaim.org. WebAIM is actually a group that is recognized nationally. However, they are hosted here at Utah State University. So WebAIM means Web Accessibility in Mind. Okay, so I've really covered some of the basics. Now, what I want to show you as well is some of these other requests that folks had questions on. One of those requests was learning a little bit more about snippets. I'm not going to say too much about snippets right now because that's really going to be some more intermediate type information. However, to show you what a snippet is a pre-built piece of HTML that uses our framework called Bootstrap. Now, Bootstrap is what lets our websites be accessible. Be responsive. So responsive being it shows up for mobile, tablet, or desktop, all by creating the same site. So here's some pre-built pieces of HTML that allow us to create different looks. So if I'd like to add an alert to our website of danger, I can go ahead and add that snippet simply by coming up to this puzzle piece and then inserting any snippet that I'd like. Now, snippets are nestable. As you can see, I'm adding snippets within snippets right now. So wherever our cursor is, and we'd like to add that snippet, so in this case, I'll add 2 different columns within this blue box. It's gone ahead and thrown it right there. And so these columns right now, they are left and right. However, if we pull this into a small phone size, these columns would suddenly stack. So the best thing that I can say about snippets for now is go ahead and jump in and start trying them out and really playing with them. One of the difficulties that people ask me frequently about snippets is, well, I've got this box now, and I'm trying to click around, and I really want to add content at the bottom underneath this box. So clicking here, and then I'm adding any kind of text. It's not adding it at the bottom. It's adding it still in this sidebar over here. That's because this is the last, I'm going to speak HTML for a second. This is the last div that actually has any content in it. So to add content to the bottom of the page, we're going to have to click this source code button with these, I call it the dueling alligators. I'm going to click that, and then to the very bottom of it, I'm just going to add the word text. Now that we have text down there, I can add any text that I would like. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete anything after that, or before that, excuse me. All right, so that's all I wanted to say about snippets for now. Other things, we have the calendar. You can add a calendar item from any calendar page. Yes, I'm going to leave that page. My changes that I made weren't important. So I'm here at extension.usu.edu/calendar. You have individual calendars as well. So extension.usu.edu/cache/calendar has Cache County specific calendar, but all calendar pages have the option to submit an event. Once you go through this form and submit this event, it goes through an approval process. Terry Boharsic, he is our IT gentleman who actually reviews each of these. And it's usually about a process of 1 business day for him to review those. If he sees anything that doesn't make sense, for example, you may say room 403 in the location. Well, room 403 really isn't specific. So he might ask for a specific building, city, street address, etc. And then once he's done that, you can request on here calendars to list this event on. And there is a large list of different calendars which we have. As soon as he publishes that, it will show up on your individual calendars as well as the Extension general calendar. All right, and at this point, that really covers some of the basics that I wanted to share with you. I will do additional trainings later on some of these questions. I'll dive a little bit more in depth into calendar. We'll definitely get into snippets. That was a popular question that everybody had. Other things like forms. We used a form to have our people RSVP to this. That was done through Qualtrics. Google Forms is another favorite that I have, and you can embed those to your site. I'll show you more about that later. And so on. And with some of these trainings as well, I'm going to be making them a bit shorter so that we can cover very, very specific items and have just a lot more of them. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop my screen share at this point, and I'm going to open this up to general questions. And you know what, the first question that I've got here, it was put up in my in the chat box: can we make an image a link? The answer is absolutely. So I'm going to show you how to do that at the new page that I created. With this image, okay, so jumping in, I know I went really fast there, but I click the copyright symbol at the bottom, then that main content region. So now I've selected the image, and what I'm going to do is with the image selected, I'm
not seeing your screen.
Thank you for pointing out that I'm not doing a screen share right now. Okay, sorry about that. So now here I am in the editor. I have an image selected. And with that image selected, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Insert Edit Link hyperlink. And now at this point, I can go ahead and add, well, let's make this a link to Google. So I'm going to copy Google's hyperlink right here. Title, Google homepage. Target, new window, because this is a different website. Let's save and publish this. Now let's view this in the new, or view my changes in a new window. So now when I click this, I've just created a link to the Google homepage with Google already Googled. Okay. And if anybody else has a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat box, or go ahead and unmute. And I do have another question. How do you feel about creating flyers for events and posting them as a JPEG? I guess to put it bluntly, I really do not like that at all. Really what the flyer should do is that has good information on it that's in an image. Google does not index any of the text on that image. So if somebody were to search for information about maybe a 4-H robotics club and all the information is in that image, they won't be able to find it. So what you need to do is create a different page for that 4-H robotics club and that event, and then post all the information from your flyer on that web page. The other problem with posting flyers as JPEGs is, again, that screen responsiveness. You might make the flyer wide enough for desktop, but when somebody pulls it up on their mobile phone, they have to do that pinch and zoom on the image, and their browser on their mobile phone may not support pinch and zoom unless they've saved the image to their phone. And so it just makes it a really difficult experience to actually see the information and to find the information. So a great question. So if anybody else wants to either type in the chat box or go ahead and unmute, I will be here probably until 11 o'clock or until no more questions are coming in.
So I have a question.
Okay.
So there's the calendar that's on like the extension and it connects to all the counties. Can our own page have a calendar for our own personal events too?
So tell me more. There's the county calendar.
Yeah. So then like my program is run in 5 counties. Could we have a calendar or like a link to the calendar or something on our page so that, does that make sense?
Yes, that does make perfect sense actually. So an example would be we recently created a relationships website, and that is more encompassing of all relationship type things which Extension produces, including events. And so we've added, I hope it's live right now. If I come to submit an event, calendars to list this event on, scrolling down, yes, so relationships is now a new option within this calendar. And so when we go to extension.usu.edu/relationships/calendar, any event that was tagged as that would appear on that calendar. In fact, this is so new, I'm going to give it a test right now. And sure enough, it looks like that has begun to be used. So saving the best for last, dessert date night, newlywed, game date night, and so on. So great question. Okay, I have a question from Adrian, which is, how do you create the navigation and header bars of a website to create new drop-downs and buttons? Okay, so that question is dealing with editing the sidebar. And for the sidebar, again, because they can become rather convoluted and rather busy, I prefer to have conversations directly with you about requests for changing the sidebars. Now in Extension, the navigation is on the side. However, I'm also the webmaster for the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences. And so the navigation in those cases is in the header. And the same thing applies there, where if we'd like to make changes to the header navigation, let's actually have a conversation about that. So thank you. Great question, Adrian. Sorry, I'm not going to show the specifics of how to do that right now. Okay, and next question, either through chat or go ahead and unmute.
So coming back to mine from before, would we just request from you to have that calendar connected up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some configuring that I actually need to create in our software that it's a third-party software that we use for calendars right now called Trumba. And so there is some behind-the-scenes work that needs to be done to enable those features. Does that answer your question, or do you have a little bit more follow-up to that?
No, that's great.
Okay. All right. I have a question about which county has the most visits. Off the top of my head, I don't know that, and I would frankly assume that's something along the Wasatch Front, either Salt Lake or Utah County, simply because there is a large population base which they have people to be able to visit them from. Now, with that, I'm very glad you actually asked, because I'm logging into Google Analytics right now. And what I can do is I can search very easily for any county's any county or any program that we have Google Analytics set up for. So just because Cache County, I live here and it's been a sample that I've referred to a few other times, I can jump in and immediately view that, okay, Cache County in the last week has had 110 sessions, 57% bounce rate, which means that 6 out of 10 visitors may come on a page and then immediately leave, and their average duration is 2 minutes, 9 seconds. And then I can share this information with anybody within that county. So I can come down here to admin and click user management, and I can see all the different people who currently have access to view these analytics. So if we'd like to share this with somebody in Cache County, that would be fantastic. And there's a follow-up question with what are sessions? This is actually a great training that I should follow up on and really dive deep into Google Analytics. But in short, a session is when one visitor comes to your website and they continue to have interactions on your website for at least a 30-minute period. If they come back 45 minutes later, that would begin a new session for that visitor. Okay, so I won't, unless we have other questions in Google Analytics that are, I'd say, still pretty basic and how to get you access to it, I won't dive much more into that, except I will do a training at another time on that.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's Laura in Box Elder County, and I know I've totally bothered you guys before, so what's the best way for us to kind of get in contact with you? I know that for me, our website, and I haven't got to it yet because we've all got a lot of fish frying, but how do I kind of sit down and hash out some of the sidebar changes and big changes that we might want to make for our website? Is there a best way to kind of make an appointment with you? Or?
Yeah, I would say just send me an email to kirk.salisbury@gmail.com. And then I have to apologize if you sent me a request to do so before, and then if that went unnoticed or anything along those lines, don't hesitate to ping me again. The way that I manage my tasks is I look through unread emails and I do my best to respond to an email. However, sometimes an email may accidentally become read, and I didn't realize it just by clicking or whatnot. And if that happens, then I have missed email messages before, and I apologize. But again, don't hesitate to just reach out and say, hey, Kirk, we'd like to schedule a time with you to talk about the philosophy of our website and how we want to communicate with our audience.
Cool. For the record, you guys have been wonderful. I dropped the ball. I kind of forgot about it. So I was just thinking moving forward, what the best way to not bother you would be.
No, feel free to bother me at any time. That's why they pay me.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in on that. Definitely just bother Kirk whenever you need to. Don't hold back.
Oh, thanks, Casey. Casey is most of you probably already know Casey as well. He's in the marketing office. He's the one who organized this webinar, so he's a good colleague. Okay, another question. Do we need to submit regular posts through Casey, or can we just post into our website as needed? I'm not 100% sure if I follow. What I would say is, assuming a post is a new page, or Casey,
Sure,
do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll just chime in here. I think Kathy is asking if content needs to be approved before it gets put up on a website.
Okay. With that, if you are an editor, at this point in time, you have the green light to put content up as you would like. Now, having said that, in our marketing office, we are very frequently publishing content, and we have a practice of reviewing that content with other people. And so there may be some messaging that I may actually create that is unclear, and by having somebody else within our office review that, we can get that worked out before it goes live on our website. And so I would encourage you to have similar practices in your office, and if it becomes a problem, then we can revisit certain activities, such as you can only submit your pages for review to somebody with higher administrative privileges who would then review your page and publish. Now, the problem with that is sometimes you like to make changes on the fly, and it's important to do that. If we submit it to a reviewer, then you have to make sure that somebody else is available to review that quickly so that that change can go live. So we like to keep it that way. Just be mindful of the content that you're posting, and if there's problems, then we may change practices. The next question, as a follow-up to that, is how do we delete articles we put on the website and want to replace? Great question. Access on this varies. Not every user has permission to actually delete information, but I've logged in, and within our file manager, I can select as many files as I would like and then say move to recycle bin. You may not have the access to do that. If you like that and need that, then contact me. Or I can do a single file at a time by hovering over. Let's say I want to delete news here. I can go to, let's see, file, move to recycle bin. It's the same thing within files or images. I can file, move to recycle bin here as well. Okay, so good questions. Keep them coming. You know what I may do for just the next few minutes? It seems a little bit silent right now, so I'm going to jump in and this is where I outlined all the questions that everybody had for me. As you can see, again, most of the requests were, I just want to know all the basic concepts for editing and updating existing websites. With that, one concept that I actually like to share is with your program or office website, the content which you put on your website should really serve who your audience is and make sure that it's within the right scope of that audience. So my favorite example that goes back to a few years ago was Cache County used to have a great repository of information about apple trees. Now, if I lived in Box Elder County or any other county, I wouldn't think, oh, I want to grow an apple tree. I need to go to Cache County's website. Instead, where that information should have been put on is the gardening website. Now, information that is more appropriate for the Cache County website is maybe Cache County would have a specific class for growing apple trees, or maybe grafting or things like that. So really be mindful of, when I put this content onto my website, is this the right website for this content? Okay, there were some questions about pods and home images, or homepage images. One of the questions was, can I change the rotating pictures on the main page, or can I have pictures rotate? And to answer that question, I'm going to refer you to a website called Should I Use a Carousel? And I didn't realize this until recently, but this website is powered by WebAIM, the same group that I mentioned with accessibility in mind. But it's a website of a carousel that explains some statistics and really that they don't do anything good. So no, long story short, don't use a carousel. However, modifying images on your homepage is going to be very similar to what I already showed about how to use slide images in or out. For the formatting of the page, that's going to be a little bit deeper in how do we create these different columns and whatnot. And I'll do a training on how to make our website more responsive with that framework called Bootstrap later.
Kirk, could I chime in here real quick? There are a few counties who do customize the pods on their home pages.
Okay.
And that, I guess I'm curious, Kirk, on your thoughts on that. If we have the generic extension ones that we publish here and get broadcast out to a number of sites, but a few counties do their own. What are your thoughts on that? Is it recommended? Is it a problem? Is it suggested they do that? What are your thoughts?
Right. My thoughts are yes and no. I'd recommend it and I wouldn't recommend it. It all depends on the county's capacity to be able to update that. Now, while it's a great idea to have unique, fresh content on your county homepage that's specific to your county homepage, for some people it's just it hasn't been realistic to be able to modify that. So for example, during this time of year when people are thinking about the web, they may go in and change their pods to something that's more specific to Christmas. And by pod, I mean this is a pod right here, that image. So they may change it to something Christmas specific, but then by July, that image is still there. And at that point, I've actually gone in without asking, and I've just modified it so that what we have on the extension homepage is broadcast out to their county webpage, because we want to get things updated, and it's more embarrassing to have something that isn't updated than nothing at all, if that makes sense. So did that answer your question, or is that good feedback?
Yeah, I think that answered my question. Thank you, Kirk.
Okay, perfect. I do have another question that came in through text. Which counties customize their site successfully? Casey, do you have any that come to mind?
I believe Salt Lake County does.
Okay. All right. Yes, Salt Lake County does. If Salt Lake County, however, is still with these pods come February, I might be having a talk with them. And I wouldn't even say February. I mean, we have happy holidays, and if it's mid-January and those types of things are still up, then it starts to look like somebody's forgetting about this. Okay, another question. Who is the right person to email for different kinds of questions? I would say that I'm the best starting point. I know who is going to be the right person if I'm not the right person. And this may speak to something a little bit wider as well. Sometimes counties or programs may want to develop a specific app or things like that. Start that conversation with me as well, because we may get other developers or system administrators involved. And if we try to start jumping the gun on developing things, we may start going down the wrong road. And that's cost some people some money with realizing what they've developed isn't compatible. And I know your question probably wasn't about that exactly, but I just wanted to put that out there. Just reach out to me whenever you have any general web questions, and I'll get you in the right direction. And a second question they had was, how do we add more people to edit our site? Right now, only my student has access. Again, email me. I am the only one who can actually add or remove users. Well, actually, I should say I'm not the only one. Casey also has access in case I am out. Okay, other things I'm going to mention quickly. We only have about 1 minute left. Adding video is a question. I'll just say add your videos to YouTube and embed them. When you add them to YouTube, don't add them from a personal account. Add them from a university-approved account. If you have questions on that, reach out to Casey. PayPal integration. I would love to say more about that right now, but the Information Security Office at Utah State University is still clearing things on how we want to best do this. So I don't have a good answer on that yet. When I know more, I will let you know more. Publications. There was a question about use of the site. That site is Digital Commons. That's where publications should go. And if you'd like to reference that publication, make sure you're referencing it from your website and linking to Digital Commons rather than uploading the publication directly. Directories are going to be changing hopefully in the next few months. I will be doing another training on that. Articles falls in line with publications, and I know I've just flown through some of those. Know that there is more to come. Right now, hopefully we've covered the basics well for you. And at this point, there's one more follow-up question. Is this a recorded webinar to review later? Yes, absolutely. It will be uploaded again to the extension.usu.edu/OU-campus. And I'm going to stop my screen share for good this time. So yes, it will be at extension.usu.edu/OU-campus and also on the marketing website under training archives. So thank you all for attending. I appreciate your time. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions. Your questions will help me know what other trainings I should present in the future. So have a great day and a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before then.
Thanks, Kirk.
Okay, thank you.